Hey y'all, it's Chimdi. So I'm at that point in my YouTube career, it comes for all of us if you stay connected to it, where people reach out to me for advice about having a YouTube channel. And I know for me, I feel like success on YouTube starts at 100,000 subscribers. Like I feel like anything under 100K, I'm like, we all just doing our best out here. We just trying, we praying, we just, like we're calling in our vision for the future, but we're basically all in the same boat. As soon as you go from 99.9 to 100, I'm like, okay, you've made it. Which we know obviously is not how it works, but that's sort of the belief system I've been operating under. So when the wonderful Omar DM'd me on Instagram and was like, hey, love your channel, love your videos, all these beautiful things, and then asked what is some advice you have for new YouTube creators, I was like, I do have some advice. I have some things. Before we get into it, Patreon people, thank you for supporting me. I appreciate y'all so much. Over on the Patreon, I now upload the finished versions of my videos before they go live here on YouTube. And I have a podcast called Voice Notes from Your Friend, and I do a part 2 for my podcast exclusively for the Patreon. So if you want those goodies and other behind the scenes stuff, go ahead and check out the Patreon. And then of course, subscribers, thank you for agreeing to hang out with me every single week. You didn't make that agreement. When you hit that subscribe, you're making a commitment to me that says, yes, Chimdi, I love you and I will hang out with you every single week. And I want to thank you for making that lifelong commitment. And I'm also a creative coach. I made a video recently and I just threw it in there like, oh, and by the way, I'm a coach. Okay, anyway, and I'm like, let me just let myself say that. I'm a creative coach. If you need some support, showing up authentically and consistently, feel free to book some time on my calendar. Now, let's get into these 5 tips for starting your content creation YouTube journey, what you can keep in mind, etc., etc. So the first tip, and I think it is so important, is to truly see the human behind every single view. I know in the beginning, if your channel isn't immediately successful or doesn't have videos that immediately pop off with huge groups of people, it can feel so demoralizing to get videos that have 2 views, 5 views, 10 views. Like, it can feel like basically they might as well be 0. Now, if you were to run into 5 people, 10 people, 15 people on the street, you would not see that as nothing. You would see those as actual human beings and as actual people. They are real. Just because they aren't 100,000 doesn't mean they aren't worth appreciating, celebrating, and pouring into. I was talking to Omar about this, and he actually referenced something another creator said, which was 50 may seem like a small number, but imagine if there were 50 people watching everything you did, just like chilling in your house. You would be like, oh, hello, 50 of you. Even just 5 people. Imagine you did your little get ready with me and there were 5 people just looking right in your face as you applied your eyeliner. You know what I mean? It changes the idea from being the sort of nameless, faceless void of the internet to being real human beings. And when you see them as real people, you can engage with them as real people. You can leave comments, you can ask them questions, you can see if they have YouTube channels, you can engage with their content, and that's how you build a community. And I think it's so beautiful to learn the skills of building community in the beginning when your channel is small, because then when it gets to being 5K, 10K, 20K, it isn't this overwhelming thing. When I had my first video that really blew up, it was overwhelming because I had so many comments and I was operating under this mindset of I have to respond to every single comment because I'm so committed to my community. That makes sense if you have a small, handful of comments every week. When you're getting 50, 100 comments every week, it literally started to feel like I was answering emails. And that's not the energy you want to have towards what you're creating and what you're putting out into the world, because everything that you put out is coming right back to you. So just truly honoring where you are and the people who are supporting you right now is, I think, a really important tip if you're just starting out. On a similar vein, my second tip would be to build community with people who are on your level. Build community with your peers. This is actually advice that Issa Rae gives, and we know she famously had YouTube success and then turned it into traditional, success. And she talks a lot about, instead of trying to go to the people who are 5, 10, 20 rungs ahead of you, actually look around to the people who are where you are on the ladder and make connections with them. Because as you all sort of grow up and expand and become more successful together, those can be the people that you support, who support you, who give each other jobs, you give them jobs, all that kind of stuff. And one thing I would do when I first started creating on YouTube, I created a lot of hair content at first. There were and have always been hair creators who are super duper successful and who, immediately every time they post, they get a lot of engagement, a lot of comments. If I was to compare myself to them, I would of course get discouraged. So what I would do whenever I would upload a video, the first thing I would do is I would actually search for similar videos, and I would narrow down the filters to see the videos that were uploaded in the last hour, the newest videos. And I would go to the ones that had very few views, and I would watch those videos and I would leave a genuine comment, because I knew how much effort it takes to create these videos, how much energy you pour into it, and how much we appreciate when someone engages and leaves a comment. And so I was that person for these other creators. And what's beautiful is that that energy truly continues to come right back to me. Like, I have people who leave comments on my videos. So even though my videos don't have hundreds of thousands of views consistently, I still get people who leave comments and are pretty engaged. And I know it's because of this consistent intention around building community. And I think what this practice is also really helpful for is it helps you see that you're not alone where you are. If you're only comparing yourself to people who are really far ahead, and if you're only seeing what YouTube sends you, because I know for me, most of my YouTube homepage, it's celebrities, it's like big channels, videos that have already had 100,000 views, that have already been really viral and successful. You have to go out of your way to see and support small creators, but I truly believe that that effort is rewarded, not only energetically because you are supporting people and that just feels good and people appreciate that, but you're developing this skill set, and the love that you're sending out, like I said, is coming right back to you. The third tip I have is to really vision about your channel and where you want it to be, and to take screenshots of where you are now so you have that anchor point. For me, I did this visioning when I first started my channel before I think I had 3,000 or so subscribers, because that was a screenshot that I had that I used when I created this visioning of me at like 5K, 20K, 50K, 100K, a million. Like, I did all these really big numbers, and I actually just used Google Slides for this. And I took these screenshots of my channel and different analytics of my channel, and then I basically like fake photoshopped to like put different numbers in so that I could just visually see what it would look like to log on to my YouTube channel and see that number next to my name. I think that's really, really important to sort of ground what can seem like very big dreams, to just ground them down into like the reality of having a channel that size is that you would go to your YouTube channel and you would see that number next to your name. Like, that's really what it is, right? There isn't any guaranteed emotion related to these numbers. There isn't even any guaranteed experience related to these numbers, because everyone's journey on YouTube is so different, especially depending on the kind of content they make and on the kind of person they are and on like their own goals and what they actually want out of their channel. Some people, they don't care about community, they just want to have a bunch of sponsors. You know what I mean? Some people, they want to use YouTube as a jumping off point to something else. So depending on how you want to create a channel, what it means to you, the experience will really be different. So I think doing the screenshot approach and really having a vision for what you want can really help you understand, like, the number is just a number. So what is it that you actually want to be experiencing and feeling when you have that number? Like, what will it actually mean to you? And having a sense of your why, obviously, will help you remain committed in those ups and downs period when maybe you're getting burnt out or you're feeling like you're not getting the engagement you want or the algorithm is against you. And what I really love about doing this process is that as the years pass, you can look back at these screenshots to really understand how far you've come. I really believe the outside world just mirrors our inside, you know, the world of our insides, and so our internal world. That's what I wanted to say. And so if you kind of have a viewpoint which is like, oh, I'm working really hard, but I'm not really getting as far as I want to go. It doesn't matter what the numbers are, that'll just be the story you tell regardless. But then when you have evidence that proves this story wrong, it can be like, wait, like, it can confront you and actually invite you to expand your narrative and expand the story you're telling yourself about your own success. So for me, with my channel, I had this story that was like, you know, I got successful. Literally, I wasn't successful before the I Quit video series. That particular series is what made me successful. I have not been able to replicate that success, and now my channel is on a downslide and only a few people actually really care what I have to say. And so recently I found myself looking back at these screenshots, and I realized that the views that I would get after a month of a video being live on my channel are now the views that I get in one day. And that is unequivocal. I can just look at that and I can just see that that's true. And that causes me to be like, wait a minute, like maybe I actually am successful, you know what I mean? But I wouldn't necessarily be challenging that narrative if I was only sort of looking at the views I have now and then comparing myself to other creators who I think I'm on a similar journey to, but they are so much further ahead in my mind. My next tip is to give yourself a time frame for how long you'll be committed to YouTube no matter what happens. Because if you're living and dying with each video, it is going to be a very, very, very rocky road, especially in the beginning when you're still figuring it out and it still takes so much effort and energy to create. So I think giving yourself a goal, for me, I did 7 years. And it's because I listened to some interview where, and I think I heard it a few different times from a few different creators who said that they were working kind of grinding kind of nonstop for a while with no success, but it was after 7 years that they started to see some movement. And we've all heard that phrase that an overnight success takes 10 years. So even if something like sort of pops off out of nowhere, I think it's able to pop off because of all of the energy and effort you've put into it, preparing yourself for all of this new energy into your life. And I think that process of preparation is what allows you to sustain that energy and to not fall off. I personally gave myself a pretty big time frame, and I'm glad I did because it was year 4, right? Where eventually I saw the success that mirrored what I thought was possible for myself. Though arguably I had a lot of success before that did help me keep going, these random videos that would go viral, as well as some really cool creative opportunities that I otherwise sort of wouldn't have had unless I had this YouTube channel. So I have things continuing to sort of give me the thumbs up on the path to say like, okay, yes, keep going. But knowing that I wasn't gonna quit before 7 years really helped me. For some people, it could just be a year, it could be 6 months, but knowing that the amount of energy and effort it takes to grow and sustain a channel is so much, I think it's worth basically giving yourself a fair shot to see if it's something that you can really do. I've worked with clients, for instance, where, you know, we worked together, they had, you know, maybe 3 or 4 videos and that was it. They had yet to come back to YouTube, and it breaks my heart because I know that if they were to remain consistent and keep going, they would get to have the success that they want, but it really takes that inner journey of saying, okay, this is something that I really know I can do. And then my final tip, which I think is truly the most important, have a bigger context for your YouTube channel and the journey you're going on with it. For me, the broader context of my entire life is that everything that's showing up for me is to help me grow. It's to help my soul grow. It's to help me become a bigger, more expanded, more compassionate, more loving person. And so YouTube, in the same vein as that, like every video that I do is an invitation for me to be more authentic and more genuine and more compassionate and more caring. Every challenge I run into in terms of like my technology not working or, you know, like some kind of setback, like I think of it in terms of, okay, you're running into a challenge. You as a person, how do you respond to challenges? How do you remain grounded in yourself? How do you remain creative when it seems as if things aren't going your way? How do you remain connected to a greater sense of purpose, a greater sense of support, so you realize that this isn't just a video or just a channel, but actually part of a larger mission in your life? I think if I didn't have that larger reason, it would be really easy to stop, because otherwise I'm just making videos about my hair or I'm just making videos about this experience I just had, or like, you know what, I didn't like that job, I decided to quit. Like that's like the whole video, right? But if I understand that, for me, every single time I put out a video, I'm sending out a frequency into the world, and that frequency is changing the world inherently, because we're all in this one world together. That means I can be, if I want to be, very intentional about what I'm putting out and what I'm saying and how I'm wording my sentences and the energy I kind of do and have internally, you know, before I even turn on my camera, because I know that this ripple is not just a video, it's something that's actually changing the fabric of reality. I think if you see what you do every day within this much bigger context, it allows you to have a deeper grounding so that the winds of change don't topple you over, and allow you to really remain excited, because you'll know that it's just a matter of time before you start seeing the fruits of your labor. A metaphor that's used a lot in the like spiritual creative community is all about when you plant a seed, you don't just look at the watch like, okay, why aren't you growing yet? It's been 5 minutes. You know that it's a process and it takes time. And if you are someone who gardens, I'm not really, but I feel like I get the gist of it. I get the gist of it. I feel like there is such a genuine excitement and reward that comes when the thing you planted last season finally starts growing fruit. Like just seeing it beginning to bud is so exciting. And then the pleasure of actually like picking that apple from the tree or that tomato from the vine and like biting into it and knowing that it exists because of the work that you put in combination with these magical, mystical forces of light and air and sun and earth and soil, like, and now you're eating that thing. Like, that's just so freaking cool. And as a YouTube creator, that's your channel, and every video is feeding the soil, and every comment is like a little bit of fruit, and every opportunity is another, like it's just this beautiful garden that you're cultivating over months, years, maybe even decades. There are creators who have been here for 10 plus years, you know? I think that's so beautiful. Of course, some creators truly, they pop off immediately. Others have been truly toiling. They've been truly, I don't want to use toiling because that has a negative connotation, but they've been gardening, they've been cultivating. And what you're seeing is actually a lot of love and energy poured into something. And it's been my experience, though, this is by no means a blanket experience, but when I look at some of the creators who did grow super duper fast, they tend to have a lot of challenges that come with that. You know, I think of it as like taking steroids or like the stuff you like pump into the soil to make your crops grow faster. We're living in the world that is the byproduct of when we don't allow things to just grow naturally, and we feel this need to pressure and force things to go faster than is actually natural and normal. Allowing yourself to be with the rhythm of your creativity and the rhythm of your growth will allow you to actually sustain yourself and actually enjoy the process and not get burnt out. Those are my tips. I hope they are helpful. Thank you, Omar, for reaching out and asking for this video. Truly, y'all's wanting to see certain kinds of content, it really does influence what I create. Let me know in the comments what resonated. Let me know in the comments if you have a YouTube channel that you would like me to check out. Also, I am open to DMs, obviously, in a non-freaky way. If you just want to tell me that I'm great, I'm totally open to that. If I have any hint that you are hitting on me, I'm literally ignoring you, all right? Unless you're very attractive to me, and then maybe not. But you know what? It's all based on chance, so maybe don't chance it. Just leave a comment here. I'll probably see it and almost certainly engage with it. All right, thank you for watching. Love you.